I want to shift gears a little bit now and go back and talk a little bit more about your own personal journey going from as I mentioned earlier, you were a finance major, and so you spent 4 years, I guess, at UT. Is that correct?
Actually graduated a quarter early,
Okay. Oh, you're on quarters then.
quarter
I would
system.
love to go back to
Yeah.
quarters personally, but we're on semesters. So did you enjoy school as a finance major?
Yeah, I've enjoyed working a whole lot more than I enjoyed. I was an adequate student. I wasn't a great student. Um, I mean, I work has been a whole lot more fun for me than school was. And as I mentioned to you in the pre-conversation, I almost didn't graduate because I didn't have enough footnotes in my senior seminar paper and had to go back the day before graduation and
And do you
go to the
remember how many you needed?
I did I don't think I was told how many was
Well,
needed
it's one
in
of those N
advance.
plus one things.
That's yes, but it was so I had to go to the Lawson McGee Library downtown because our library was closed, um, and do some find some footnotes to add to my paper and go to the typewriter and type up some more footnotes. And on the morning of graduation, I learned that I did get a grade. I don't know what the grade was, but I did get a diploma. So I probably should have somebody to go check what my record ever says about what that grade was or wasn't, but at least I was able to graduate.
Well, yeah. So I'll see if somebody can check on that.
That's right.
I doubt I have access to those things. What did so enjoying working a lot more than school? Did that surprise you?
Mm, Well, once I got to work at Valley, I did. When I was selling life insurance with a company that I didn't respect and a general agent I didn't respect. But once I got to work with a group of people that I respected them and liked what I was doing, um, work was work was easy, and I wanted more things to do, and they gave me more things to do, and it was challenging and fun and fulfilling. Obviously, I'm a female, young, not from Knoxville. I was given account responsibilities at an early age. Two guys left within 6 months of one another, and I was asked if I wanted to be in charge of the retirement plan area. We had six accounts. I mean, it was not a whole lot to be in charge of. But my boss had also said if I wasn't successful, I couldn't go back to my old job because I was doing the trust tax returns. And we're going to have to promote or hire someone to do the trust tax returns. So when I accepted the challenge, it really was my neck was on the line because if it didn't work out, I didn't have anything to go back to.
Mhm.
But obviously things did work out. And another thing that my boss said after a month or two, when I said, there's so much I don't know. I don't feel like I'm representing the bank well. And he said, if you don't know something, just tell somebody that you don't know, that you'll look it up and you'll call them back and you'll tell them what you found out. It's almost like I'd been set up. It's like the next day a guy called and asked me a question, and I told him I didn't know the answer, and he laughed and my stomach sank. And he said, "Oh, that's the most refreshing thing I've heard all day. You're the fourth person I've talked to, and I've gotten three different answers. And you're the first person who said you didn't know." Well, so I researched it and I called him back. But that was such an affirmation of don't try to BS your way through something.
Yeah.
If you don't know, it is okay to not know, but then do follow up and find out and get back to them.
Well, I think in terms of building a relationship with a client, that's got to be one of I think one of the best things anyone can do is show a little bit of humility and admit that one doesn't know the answer to the question.
I agree.
And so yeah, I mean, I love it when when people say I don't know, because from my end, it's like, okay, this is genuine.
Yeah.
and
Now you've
there's
got to have
something to
core
work with here.
competencies here, and we do know there's some core competencies you're
Yes.
expected to have.
Well, depends. Yeah, it depends
Like,
on what the question is, right?
yes, it's like, is the market up or down so far this year? Well, you really should know that, but as volatile as things have been day to day, you might not know if you didn't look 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, yeah. And if the question is, well, what's going to happen over the next week?
Yeah,
I don't know is
my
a
crystal ball's
very
pretty.
appropriate answer.
That's
And
right.
I think anyone who doesn't say I don't know, those are the ones that you want to be kind of afraid of. So in the transition to the trust company, so I understand a lot of that was to kind of continue doing what you were doing and staying in Knoxville, but that was risky. That had to have been incredibly risky on your part to transition into that.
I was young. I didn't realize it. When I look back now, I probably was risky. I did not, you know, as I said, when I was asked to be in charge of the retirement plan area, we had 6 accounts, and I'd grown it to a lot more than 6 accounts, and I don't remember how big it was. Say $250 million or something like that. It's
Yeah,
probably about where it was.
yeah.
And I thought, well, I know how to do this. I've done it before. I can do it again. It didn't feel risky. It not having control over my destiny and potentially having to move out of Knoxville was riskier to me than starting my own company.
Mm,
And my dear late husband also said, I sure am glad you don't have bedrooms there, because I took all the furniture out of our house. It's what, so the our conference table was our dining room table, and our dining room chairs were the conference room chairs. And I mean, the sofa
wow,
came from the house. I mean, everything in the office to start off with had come from our house.
wow.
Um, so we were frugal when we got started, and the business, some business that I thought would have come with me wouldn't even give me an appointment to go talk to them, and other business that or people I didn't even know who'd heard about what we were doing wanted to be part of it.
Yeah. So
So,
how do you those first few clients, those first few accounts that you got at the trust company? How did you end up with them?
well, knocking on doors,
Uh-huh.
dialing for dial, having sold life insurance, making cold calls certainly helped. I
Uh-huh.
mean, that that's not the most pleasant thing to do, but having sold life insurance, cold calling, so then I'm calling people that I've worked with before. I did not have a non-compete. Um, and this was nothing against the bank. The president and chairman of the board of the bank were as concerned about what might be happening with the bank as I was. So it was not a negative towards Valley Fidelity Bank. It was really more, I want to just keep doing what I've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
But the chairman of the board and the president of the bank did go out and call on my largest clients to make sure that they didn't move,
Sure.
and pointed out that if they had loans at the bank and if they moved them, that they were getting preferential treatment. So they put up a fight,
Sure.
but we didn't talk bad about one another. Um, so it was, just kind of one after another. You were either sorely disappointed that someone who'd always said, Sharon, if you ever try to assign my account to somebody else, I'll leave, and
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't even give you an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Or there was a particular lawyer and a particular CPA who I had very seldom worked with before, who both became great centers of influence because they liked the fact that this was not going to be a traditional bank. There was going to be something that was focused on trust. So I had theaters
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't even know to anticipate.
Mm-hmm.
So our first 24-month plan was on schedule, but it came from totally different places. Um, an interesting one, we'd been in business for about 6 months. A CPA called, had a client that was having some problems with their qualified retirement plan. They had done some things that they might not should have done within their plan. And I was a good problem solver. So I met with this person about their qualified plan and told them ways that I thought that they could fix the problem and the IRS would not be out after them. And this guy said, "Well, Sharon, I've talked to some other brokers, but I know that you've dealt with money like this before, and my $2 million would be a big deal for these other people. So I'm going to give you my $2 million retirement plan." It was 10 years later before I ever told him that at that point in time, we only managed $8 million, and his $2 million
Wow.
with a 25% increase in our assets under management.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really did wait until we had well over $100 million of assets under management before I told him what a significant piece of the pie his $2 million had been. So you
That's
also learn to wing it.
yeah.
I didn't misrepresent myself.
Uh-huh.
I just went, oh yes, we'll
Yeah.
be happy to take your $2 million.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an awesome, awesome
Yeah.
story.
But
Um,
we were known as problem solvers.
mhm, mhm,
So we weren't so much as to selling
mhm,
as people were having problems with X, Y, or Z,
mhm,
and we could help figure it out and
mhm,
talk in plain English about investments.
mhm, mhm. Well, we're about out of time today. I do have one really brief question that I want to close with. So I just have to know. I was looking at the trust company's first quarter newsletter online, which is just barely hot off the press, just a couple of days ago. And at the bottom of that newsletter, I saw a recipe for honey sriracha chicken. Have you tried that? And
I have
if
not,
you have
I have
not
not,
tried it,
I have not tried that, but I'll also tell you
uh-huh.
that some people in our office, this has been quite a few years ago, in our newsletter, tried to take out the recipes. Boy, they learned really quick.
Yeah,
You do not take the recipes out of the
yeah.
newsletter because
Well,
that's one of the most sought after pieces. I got to get to the recipe section.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I am a person who thinks that about 90% of all dishes in the world can be improved with a little sriracha, and
Ah,
so I'm totally trying this.
I'll have to try it.
I can't wait. But Sharon, thanks so much for your time, and thanks for caring about our students, caring about our
Thank you.
university, and
Well,
it was great to talk to you.
it's been my pleasure to serve the university and to stay connected. So thank you. Thank you for all that you do.